Stream health is good. That's usually a good sign. It also usually means that we are live. So what is going on, everybody? Live before lock, Monday, November 26th. Myself, Fast Eddie Fear, coming to break down 7-game slate with a lot of interesting stuff now that Chris Paul is out. So
Yes.
we have a ton to talk about. Eddie, how was your weekend? How was your holiday?
Excellent. Had a great weekend. Hosted the show all by myself because nobody loves me. A couple days over the weekend, but lots of success there. Played some basketball yesterday in my very nice Harpley Prince.
Repping the Prince.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the cat man. He do. So yeah, had a really nice weekend. My back's all jacked up because I took a hit yesterday in basketball and couldn't stand this morning. I had the first really old man moment for me in about a year where I tried to get up this morning and getting erect took longer than it used to. Why not? Might as well go the whole way with the joke. It was just like, okay, couple more. Yeah, it doesn't feel good. So yeah.
Man, I wish we were sponsored by 4 Hymns or something right now. That could have worked out perfect.
Sponsored by Viagra. A couple of previous jobs we've talked about different sponsors, and I just want to do that shit for the jokes every day. They had FanDuel or whatever had the Millie or DK or both were sponsored by 4 Hymns or whatever.
Yeah, DK has been sponsored by Boner Pills for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, it was so much fun. It was just like, do you like daily fantasy? Does your dick not work? Come on down to DraftKings, and it's really funny. I don't know.
I guess they understand their audience, but.
Right, no, yeah, seriously, there you go.
Lots to talk about if you're ready.
I am going to have the rankings up in about 26 seconds. Pitch something, sell something, thrive, do, get out there and put your thing down.
Well, let's do this. Since today is Cyber Monday, people, you can enter the promo code either Cyber Month or Cyber Year, depending on how long you're looking to subscribe. That would be for the Premium All Access Monthly or Premium All Access Annual package. The Cyber Year will give you 12 months for the price of 10. If you enter those codes, either Cyber Month or Cyber Year, those are our Cyber Monday packages. Can't beat it, really. 12 months for the price of 10. Entering the code, make sure you don't select a package with Fantasy Cruncher. Unfortunately, Fantasy Cruncher is not included in the All Access packages for the Cyber Monday promotion. So if you're having any trouble entering the code and something's not working, check to see if you selected a Fantasy Cruncher package. Doesn't stop you from adding Fantasy Cruncher in the future. It just can't be a part of this promotion.
I think I'm 100% so far on my Thrive picks, by the way. So I'm in 4, but I think I'm 4 for 4 on my Thriving.
All right. Well, I've got 2 more for you. I've got my picks on the screen from earlier this morning. I've got Adam's as well. I'm going to give you my 2.
So this is exciting. Give me the questions, and then I'll see if I align with you two.
Okay. Have you seen what we picked yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, cool. I hid our picks just in case you're seeing the screen.
I see my spreadsheet of things and the appear window, but I have no idea.
Gotcha. Speaking of Thrive, check it out. You select props, like player props. It's a really cool concept, and I've been having fun. I whooped up on Adam on Friday of last week. So you'll pick 10 props out of 20 that are listed, and you're trying to pick whether they'll go over or under. You get a certain amount of points whether they go over or under. I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now. It's bit.ly/ThriveStrat. We'll get you a link. $10 for the promo. If you deposit 10, I believe it's 20. If you deposit 50, I'm going to get that wrong, so don't quote me right now, but I assume that someone's going to pop in and drop the real results into the chat. All right, first one's up. You ready?
Do it.
Giannis Antetokounmpo. 26.5 points. The over gets you 95. The under 105.
I'll still take the over. Very close for me at that point, but I will go with the over there. I did him up earlier today and had him with, I think, a rare guy who gets projected over 60 for me. He'd be second for me on the slate now to Harden, but I think I had him at 61.5 fantasy and 28 and change actual. So I'll take the over.
Okay, you are matching Adam and myself on the over call for Giannis.
Okay.
Next one for you. DeMar DeRozan, 24.5 points. Same action on the over and the under.
That's right about on it. So good line, people at Thrive. I'm going to take the under on DeMar here. Just barely, but I will take the under. on that line by just a hair. I do like this playing into a gay contest, and I like a good gay contest, like sword fighting. And I like Aldridge as well in that spot, and for that reason, I'll just barely hedge to the under, but I have no strong conviction on that one. But
you are on the opposite side of Adam and myself, where we both took the over this morning. So bragging rights on the line. DeMar DeRozan tonight.
That's good. Let's start putting like some side bets on the line. Unlike you guys, I don't get to gamble like 4 digits every single goddamn day. So let's go. I got a side bet with Adam on James Harden and Kemba Walker assists.
If it helps you, I'm going to be cheering against you very heavily because I like DeMar tonight. But we'll get there.
I certainly don't hate DeMar. The ownership should be really sexy for what we're hoping to get out of him here. So I certainly like him as a DFS play, but I'll barely take the under there with very little conviction. So
yeah, the Chris Paul news has kind of changed up my shooting guard, so I actually have less than I thought of DeMar. You ready to break down some games?
Yeah, by all means, let's get right into it. Love this slate.
So do I. It's a weird one.
We had a lot of people do 20 to 1, 50 to 1, 100 to 1 ROI over the weekend. So let's keep that going.
First game up might be the best one from a fantasy perspective. Hornets and Bucks. I'm just going to give my big exposures, and then I'm going to toss it to you. So I'm pretty heavy on Kemba Walker right now. Double the field in particular. Really like this spot. Pace up game for Charlotte. If they're going to stick around, I assume it's on the back of Kemba Walker. So I'm going to Kemba. Nothing crazy for Giannis. I got 9% right now. He's just a really tough sell for me on FanDuel at 12.7. The two guys that I have the most from Milwaukee would be Eric Bledsoe and Brook Lopez, only 5K on FanDuel. So he's my favorite pay down center. So the floor is yours. What do you like about Hornets Bucks?
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually spent a little time on the situation today. For both the centers in this game. I actually like both the centers in this game. There's some of my more appealing pieces out there. Just as far as DraftKings price goes, especially on Cody Zeller. On FanDuel, I think Cody ended up being 49 or 5. Like, he's a full extra $1,000. At that point, I will play Brolo, certainly in tournaments. I think you're looking at a much better upside. These two teams played opening day or the next day. I don't remember which, but first or second game of the year for both of them. And went back and rewatched the entirety of that game earlier today. And yeah, I like all the guys you have some exposure to there. If you're going to be heavily exposed to this game, if you're going to pay for Giannis, or even in theory, Middleton or Bledsoe, makes some sense to run it back with Kemba if you can and try to find some exposure on the Charlotte side. Yeah. I do think beyond Kemba, that's getting a little stickier because of we expect MKG to play, right?
Correct.
Right. So now we expect MKG to play after being totally expurgated from the lineup for a game. Malik Monk was back last game. Tony Parker should be actually playing even though he was active in the last game. So I'm not sure how the minutes are exactly going to play out in either the front or the backcourt beyond the fact that Kemba's going to play as many as he needs to do to get what he needs. And if you went back and looked at that opening day game, you had 50 out of Kemba, and I'm not sure anyone else was good. Off the top of my head, there were I don't my computer rebooted about 12 minutes ago, which is why we're about 3 minutes late. So I have none of my notes up because I didn't save them. So I'm doing this all from memory at this point. But you can certainly Marvin Williams again, 2 for 2 and having monster games against Atlanta this year, and pretty tepid otherwise. There's a lot of value that I like in that range, and I expect him to be pretty popular at his DK price at 3,700 and coming off what for him is just a monster 11x game or wherever the hell he ended.
Yeah, he went insane.
Yeah, so I'd probably look somewhere else if I possibly could. When you say you're going to have double ownership on Kemba, I'm guessing we project Kemba in the 10-ish range, Mike?
22 on FanDuel right now.
We have about 22 on FanDuel, right? DK I would think would be closer to 10, but I keep thinking of DK. Yeah, FanDuel
9% on DK. His price on DK is less appealing.
Right, no, he's one of a few guys who look Middleton as well from this game, dollar per dollar cheaper on FanDuel. If you cannot pay that ridiculous nut for Giannis on FanDuel, where he's 12.7, Middleton straight out a hundy cheaper. And certainly there's some nice leverage there, sort of. Not that we expect to have, I would think, massive. I mean, Kemba or Giannis right now on FanDuel, I bet we projected 13, 11.
16.
16, okay. So, definitely then a little more interested in running some Middleton out there if I can't afford him. That adds, obviously, his position is a really tough one to pay for. But yeah, I like Brolo a lot in tournaments. His various times spent against Zeller looked good. He's still getting, 30 minutes as opposed to the 20 or 22 they were getting when they played for the first time this year. And I think there's a giant upside there. I like him more if you don't have Giannis. I like him in a game stack, but 4,700 and 5,000 I think are the tags on Brolo, and didn't take a lot of shots last game. Last game shot like 3 for 14 or some crazy number like that.
Yeah,
but there is a very big upside there, and I think Ursan is out. You confirm that one for me.
I actually think he's available to play.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll change this thing a little bit. For some reason, I thought Ursan was out. Let me get some windows.
Let me double check that though. Ursan Ilyasova is available to play today.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. That makes me like Brolo a hair less. Doesn't force him into quite as many minutes. Bismack is inactive, so that'll be interesting to see if Frank stays just fully ahead of Willie in this game as well. Not that either of them are real considerations for me, but just something to keep an eye on. Sure. But yeah, I like Brolo a lot in tournaments. You can obviously play Giannis in everything. I project him for north of 60, which is pretty rare for not injury-based special situations. I just like the matchup that significantly. So I have no issue with you playing Giannis. At this point, I pretty much think you have to play Harden again. Like, have to. Like, I'll go ahead 100% on James Harden. If you look at that last game on James Harden, he played pretty poorly, had 9 turnovers, had 1 steal and no blocks, did not look good the entire game, and still ended with 66. And people, he started off really badly. After 2 minutes, he was at -1.5. All he had were turnovers, and people and I had been really heavily up and down on his jock. Now, was interesting on that slate, it didn't matter because many of these same players went off on that slate. This guy right here, this guy got like 70 on that day, and Giannis had like 75, and Durant had like 72, or it was just a crazy game for all those guys. So Harden 66 really didn't mean a whole ton. So it was still certainly, I think, very correct to play him, but you're going to have to do a lot to talk me out of not playing him here, and he won't be as highly owned as he should be, whatever that number ends up being. Very real chance you pick up randomly 90 out of Harden tonight. So the rare 100%er play for me. About every 3 weeks I come out with one of those. But yeah, I would play every single scotch I can get. But yeah, out of this, don't mind Bledsoe. There's an upside there, but it's, has to do with correlating and how much you're stacking the game. So I think I probably like the game a little less than you do overall, just because I'm forcing myself into exposure on Harden, which means I'm going to have less Kemba and Giannis, which means I'm going to have less sort of correlating them and stacking the game. But like Brolo in tournaments, like Cody Zeller and anything on DK, frankly, at 4,000, he's going to play 28 minutes. This game has a hell of a pace. From the beginning of the year, you just see him randomly falling into doubles and other stuff. He's just really cheap at that price. And
yeah, 4K is insane on DraftKings for Cody Zeller.
Yeah. So I like that. It's just one of those guys who's just priced really well over there. On the riskier side, you have Rodney Hood, but Jae Crowder at 42. Same game as Harden, Kelly Oubre at 43. Zeller at 4,000 even. There's just a few guys that are just priced really, really well. So it's just reasons that I don't feel the need to, try to repeat Marvin Williams on a back-to-back, just to get back to Marvin in this game. So probably disinclined towards Marvin when I can play other guys. Because there's just guys with much better upsides. In games, I like a lot more too, and I'm still going to be a big fan of Jazz guys. Yesterday, everyone on the Jazz was good. Except for, I guess Burks ended with only 20. Let's see. Rubio was good. Ingles was fine to good. Tournament winning lineups had him on FanDuel. Favors was good. Crowder was good. Gobert was good. So, yeah, everyone was good, which this isn't quite as good of a matchup, so only most of them will be good. But, that team at their current prices without Donovan Mitchell and his 20 shots in all his minutes, really good, man. But, done with this game, as I talked about 3 other games during it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the jersey you're wearing. The Cleveland Cavaliers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't have a ton of Minnesota. I oddly have more Cleveland. I'm not happy about it. Nothing too crazy. Some Chetty, some Rodney Hood, some Colin Sexton. I have...
You've named 3 Cavs and you haven't named my favorite one yet.
I'm gonna assume it's Tristan Thompson.
Okay, you've named 4 Cavs, and you haven't named my favorite one yet.
Nance?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Really good fantasy basketball player. He's going to start at the 4.
Are you confident he starts at the 4? Because I'm not.
I'd give you 3-1 if you wanted to bet on it right now.
Oof.
I don't know how else they go with it. Like, I'd say I'm 75% sure.
It would not shock me if Channing Frye started this game at the 4 today.
I'd be pretty shocked if that came out there. But I will say, presuming he starts. They put, Digits back in as the backup center. He just gets... There's no reason he doesn't get the kind of time Nwaba was getting.
By the way, I agree with you if Larry Nance is starting. I like Nance a lot here. I'm dubious of the Cavs.
I think he's as well you should be. But this is a matchup with a team that Minnesota's defense has been a little sketchy the entire year. They're going to have improved some amount here, but I think Covington sits more on Chetty. Tristan has his hands full a little bit. It's a fine matchup for him. I don't mind you playing Tristan in anything. He's just going to get all the minutes under the goddamn sun. So you're going to get, I'll say 36 minutes out of Tristan Thompson, but 38 wouldn't surprise me. And he's still not so expensive and has been very productive in the past on the court against Karl Anthony Towns, against the Timberwolves. So I'm fine with playing him, but I absolutely love Larry Nance at, 10 to 15% ownership and $5,000 and $5,300. I think he probably starts. If he starts, I think he probably plays 32 minutes. In 32 minutes, I'd project him for 35, 36. He's just a really good fantasy basketball player.
Yeah, for right now, I have Nance in for 24 minutes. If I see that we get news that he's starting, then I will happily bump that up.
The biggest reason I like him is the clock is rolling and they haven't said anything yet. So, he's starting news at 6:53. But it's a 7 o'clock game. I wish it was an 8 o'clock game because I would just love to raw dog that play because there's no chance he doesn't play. Let's assume they start Channing Frye. He's still going to back up the 4 and the 5 then and play. We'll say you're right and it's 24 minutes.
You don't think they drop Chetty to the 4 at all in this scenario?
Is it possible? Yes, I think it is possible they start Chetty and put. You could see Clarkson, you could see Korver, you could see a number of guys they could randomly throw into the starting lineup. But I imagine they stick with what they're doing and just make the single translation there. It's the easiest course and it's the best thing for the team. So I don't know. Maybe I'm giving the Cavs too much credit on doing the smart thing, but it's the right thing to do and the right way to do it. So for $5,000, I really like getting some exposure to him. And again, I think other people look a lot of other places. Now, some of the prices on DK are great. $4,200 for Hood has a real tournament upside, and he's been getting his 30 minutes, sometimes even more than that. You like that against the Timberwolves. Chetty, again, I'm a little worried, sort of gets chewed up by Covington a little bit. I'm not sure he has the tools to be super effective in that spot, but there's a real chance of a pretty massive volume there. So I don't have a problem if you want to run Chetty out. Sexton, I'm probably back off at this point. He will not continue to, I don't actually have the numbers in front of me because, again, my notes are gone, but his shooting has been better than his shooting will be. And, last game, 14 for 21. That's, 67% from the field. You're going to
sustainable to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But again, no steals or blocks in 2 of the last 3 games. Just not a guy who picks up a ton of peripherals. He's the starting point guard playing 30 whatever minutes. The assist totals of the last X games are 1, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2. Never pulled down more than 5 rebounds. Like, you need him to shoot extremely well. And the prices come from, and again, I have liked him one day this year, and he was good. He gave you 7X, he gave you 36 for your 5,100. Now he's 5,800. You need him to shoot 70% from the field to get you a number that I'm okay with. The more likely scenario is he still takes, we'll say, 16, 17 shots, shoots, we'll say only average for him, which would be 40, 45% from the field. We'll be nice and give him 50% from the field. Okay, now he's got 17 points, and then he's going to get you, we'll be nice and give him 4 assists and 2 rebounds, and say he picks up a steal or a block. That's like 29 fantasy points. He's 5,800. I just have, I wouldn't do it. I would have absolutely no Colin Sexton and feel very good about having no Colin Sexton. But, playing a ton of time, playing the Timberwolves, which is a matchup you like, I couldn't, fairly say like, oh, that's terrible, don't do it. But I wouldn't do it for the reasons stated above.
What do you want from Minnesota? I don't have anybody over 10%.
Yeah, it's I like Teague, I think, is the guy I like most in tournaments. I think there's a chance the minutes come up here. I do like him more than Rose, which is something people have asked me about. It's a fairly smash spot from him. I think you may get one of those a few times a year. You get those 45-point Jeff Teague games where he picks up 5 steals and makes a few shots and just looks really good. But no one I'm in love with. Wiggins in tournaments is cute because of just how the abortion that he was that last basketball game. Towns obviously has a huge ceiling, and I think the ownership should be pretty sweet because all 5-digit price tags everywhere. People are going to be more inclined to play massive spot Harden, massive spot Durant, massive spot Giannis, just Anthony Davis. So I think your ownership there ends up being pretty nice, and just paying down a couple grand and getting Capella potentially in massive spots. So.
Yeah.
Town's probably the next guy I'm interested in playing in just because he does carry a big ceiling. But I mean, Tristan has been fairly competent against him. Like, this is a matchup which I like Tristan a little more than normal and Town's a little less than normal. But Town's still very interesting for me as just a ownership spot play.
Yeah, he's under 10% on both sites. I'm right with the field. I don't want to miss out totally because that's super low ownership on Towns, but it's just hard to get excited.
Anthony Davis won't have a minutes limit if he plays.
Great.
That cracks me up every time I hear it because I'm like, hold on a minute. Let me make sure I understand this. You're not sure if he's healthy or well enough to play, but you're positive that if he is good enough to play, he's 100%.
He can just let it rip.
Like, I guess the theory is, now, as a corollary, that makes sense if your statement is, we're not going to play him unless he's 1 billion %. And so, under the terms, we wouldn't limit him. I guess that kind of makes sense, but always one of those ones that makes me chuckle.
Want to move on to the other big game at 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
Wizards and Rockets. 110 implied total for the Wizards, 111.25 for the Rockets. I've got a lot of this game. Surprise. A little bit of Wall, Beal, Porter. I'm fine there. Markieff Morris is the guy that I'm getting the most of on the FanDuel side, just 4,700. But it's Houston for me. 50% Harden right now. 60% Eric Gordon, double the field on PJ Tucker. I've got some Gary Clark because he's only 3,600 on FanDuel. I'm soaking up this whole team. Can't get enough, really.
On FanDuel, I really like James Ennis. I really like the spot at the 3. They have to. So again, they have 6 guys they want to play tonight. They're going to play some guys they don't want to play, but now you're taking Gerald Green out of there as well. So they're going to run out the starters, and then they're going to have to start putting guys on the court they really don't want to play outside of Gary. So be interesting to see who fills those side roles. I don't think you need to be that cute. But, yeah, all the starters in Gary Clark I absolutely love. This is obviously a Houston team, or a Washington team more accurately, that is bad and sloppy and plays fast. And now we expect this game to stay close. And, I mean, Harden – there is no one there who can defend him adequately. There is no reason. Like, I project him right now for about 64, which is a pretty crazy number for me to project anyone for. And
DK, not that it matters. It's just
DK is what I mean by that. Yeah, it would probably end up being, I didn't do FanDuel, it would be 3 or 3.5 points less, I think, because you are going to have massive usage, which also portends a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, 64.5 for me on Harden right now on DK. So.
Yeah. Okay. We're right. Yeah. That's exactly where I am. So Daniel House is available to play for Houston. He's
Harden, Gordon, Ennis, Tucker, Capella starting lineup just dropped now. Sorry.
Yeah, that I was sure of. That I had very little doubt in. So the interesting guy is Gordon. Still too cheap for the upside. Last game, the first game this year, he looked like Eric Gordon. And again, if you've been watching him for the last couple of years, when you did not have either Harden or Paul, was just a goddamn monster. I mean, he was good every time. You were just like, I mean, very nearly. And the first couple times this year during Paul's suspension, etc., he was bad and he looked bad. But seeing that good game out of him last time, I have to still like. He isn't a must play for me because I think Harden is. Like, I think that I don't know what the odds are that Harden gets 80 tonight, but it's like 40%.
It's pretty high.
It's a really significant figure where it's just like, yep, he had 80 something. I just can't in good conscience get away from it. So for that reason, I can be a little less interested in Eric Gordon. But Eric Gordon was just objectively way, way too cheap at his price. Ennis, I really like the spot at the 3 against the defense with, Green out now. His minutes are going to pick up a couple. You're going to get 32 minutes of him. More a FanDuel play for me. Love him on FanDuel. Like Tucker plenty on DK, even where he's 3,900. That feels very good. And this is a spot where he's going to get more steals, rebounds, blocks, corner threes. These are all things that this Wizards team portends opponents, especially wily veterans, to be able to pick up a couple extra of. And Capella, now that they're running him out there for 40 goddamn minutes on me, like he played back-to-back and played 40 and 43 or some absolutely crazy number. And yeah, he's going to have to play some goddamn minutes tonight, isn't he? So, and you like him more with Paul out than with Harden out because of the rapport those two guys share. And then Dwight Howard is out. If Dwight Howard was in, I would have had a great time playing Dwight Howard and not Clint Capella. And the disparity in the ownership he would have gotten there, because Dwight Howard just clowned Clint Capella every time they've been on a court against each other. Just clowned him. Made him look terrible. And Capella was bad and Howard was amazing. All my shit went away, but Howard basically averaged a 20-20 in the 4 or 5 games he played against Clint Capella in his career. Just made him look stupid. And again, he's got problems with his ass. Haha, chuckle, chuckle. But I'm pretty sure because of all that, you would have gotten him at like 2% owned. And that would have been, I'd still project Capella for more minutes, more points, more everything. Howard, not quite the player he was. This is, a year or two ago, not 6 years ago, but I would have really enjoyed that play. So it's a shame for me that Dwight Howard is out. But now, Capella is dealing with whatever, Thomas Bryant and Markieff Morris and Jeff Green at the 5. And just, hard to see how this doesn't work out well for you. So, yep.
I agree. Do you have anybody that you want to touch on specifically from Washington?
I mean, the way the defense should align, the pace isn't as much, exciting for them. I am a fan of running it back. I do think this game stays close. So I like throwing, Beal in if you're playing on DK, or certainly Kelly Oubre at his price. Keefe you mentioned on FanDuel, but either side. Thomas Bryant, he's only been playing the 19-20 minutes due to foul trouble or various other things. No reason you can't randomly get 24 out of him. It's a pretty interesting play at 3.5 if that happens, but it would be down the list of guys for me. And Wall will be lower on than he should in a spot where there is now a very real ceiling. Not having Paul there is very relevant as far as their ability to adequately defend him. Would probably rather just raw points consideration play Beal at his prices. Although FanDuel Wall is a little better price, but still have some interest there. We haven't really gotten the Super Wall games, and some of it is him being a little out of shape. The discord within the team, they're not really firing on all cylinders, but he does have 7 steals, 17 assists, upside games, and certainly no reason one couldn't occur here. So, running him back there is interesting for me, but Harden, man. Harden, some more Harden. Again, if you watch that last game, it was me and 20 guys in chat and just talking about Harden the whole night. Like, yeah, he looks really bad. Yeah, he had 65. Like, it was just, he didn't look good almost at any point that game. But just when you take half the shots for your team and, guarantee yourself that the assist double, it's just too good of a spot, man. I don't, So, no, I guess, Oubre, I think, also will go a little under on due to recent disappointments. And I legit like Porter. Porter, not someone I'm usually comfortable taking, but spending more time at the 4 adds a little more of a rebounding floor. The matchup for him a little dicey, but I'm fine playing Porter. Normally, this is a spot where I'd want to fade a pretty popular Otto Porter. But I'm okay with it. Still not fully endorsing, but if you have Otto Porter, I'm not feeling too bad about it right now.
All right. We're going to have to go pretty quick through these last 4, but they're also not that interesting. So,
yeah.
Chicago Bulls, San Antonio Spurs. I have like a solid amount of Wendell Carter right now. That's really all that I'm interested in from Chicago from a FanDuel perspective. I think all of these guys are priced better on DK, so I would have much more interest in the Levine, Parker, Carter, Holiday, even Archie on DK. The 2 guys that I want the most, though, in this game, LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan. I'm going to have to bump DeMar right now to get a little bit more, but Aldridge is a guy that's, he's flying off the page for me. The Bulls are just so bad. He might have 20 boards today.
Yep. No, you've correctly got it right. Again, you're talking FanDuel. FanDuel, if I'm building one lineup, I'm probably playing Larry Nance and Markieff Morris. I'm getting happier and happier about it the longer we go until we see Nance starting. And again, because I'm windmilling Harden into everything, and I'm pretty close to windmilling Rubio into everything. I'm running out of money at some point, I would think, building a lot of these lineups. But don't disagree with you whatsoever. You hope this game stays close, but I think it's a little safer for Aldridge. It's really hard to imagine Aldridge not getting like 40. He's going to have to try hard not to do it, but the ceiling is lower probably. Like, I think Aldridge is a better chance of getting 40 than DeRozan, and DeRozan has a better chance of getting 60.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations. So Rudy Gay, again, I think is absolutely just fine, by the way. 6,300, 6,200. He's looked really good. Your question is, whether or not you treat this game as, I'm going to sort of go with the weirdly owned, low owned game stack and run two of those guys and run it back with really any of the five starters we expect. We expect Chandler Hutchinson to play. So that does, I think it's just Hutchison, not Hutchinson.
Yeah, no N to my knowledge.
No N on the second. Yeah, I was about to say, because they're both of those exist, but I think it's just Hutchison. Chandler from Friends, from the Homelands expansion of Magic the Gathering. Chandler, I think, does pull some minutes away from both Justin Holiday and Jabari Parker, a reasonably significant amount. With him playing, I project those guys for 33, 34, 35. Otherwise, I project them for like 40, which has been the case, and that's 18% of their minutes or something. It is a significant detraction. On DK, they're still just too cheap for what they can do for their ceiling and even coming into a safe floor. 40 whatever for Holiday is obviously incredibly lovely. Parker at 63, but DK, Hutchison, or FanDuel, Hutchison back. Again, I'd have to be full game stacking to look at either of those guys. Levine on DK at 7,700 is still just objectively a little too cheap. And you like the matchup for him, so I have no issue with that. And Archie Diacono, one of the other guys I would rather play over Marvin again. I like the micro and the macro matchup for him. And the minutes have been trending a little higher too, where you're getting 27, 28, 30. So at that point, it's 3,600. Would have some interest in there as sort of the cheap piece, certainly in a game stack, to run back against these guys. And if you think it blows out, then you can, consider some exposure to, I don't know, probably Shaq Harrison is the one I would go with first. But some of the bench guys, either Shaq or Blakeney or Fellatio.
Anything else in this game?
No.
Pelicans and Celtics. This game picked up some total throughout the day. Now the second highest one on the board. I'm matching the field on AD. I have a little bit of Holiday and Mirotic, but this is not the best game from a fantasy perspective. At least, Boston's defense is good. I'm not confident in anybody. I'm never confident in Anthony Davis's health. Boston side, though, no Jaylen Brown means I've got quite a bit of Terry Rozier and Marcus Smart, FanDuel in particular, where I could throw them in the garbage if it doesn't break well. I have a little bit of Jason Tatum. I'm under the field on Kyrie. I'm under the field on Al Horford. Horford for 5,400 on DraftKings, though, needs a very close eye. I don't have any Gordon Hayward at 6,400 on FanDuel. It's all Smart and Rozier for me. They're the value that makes everything work.
Yeah. Well, you remember what happened the last time that Jaylen Brown was out? He missed one game this year. Do you recall what happened?
Not a clue.
I don't think you and I were on, but we were talking about it, and everyone's like, yeah, Marcus Smart. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to work. And I was very anti-Marcus Smart that day. Semi Ojale got the start in that game, played 22 minutes. Smart played his 20 off the bench. It's just a really deep team, and now maybe 4 or 5 of those minutes now go extra back onto Hayward, and I have no issue with it because it's the Pelicans too. Like, I'm a big fan of taking guys against the Pellies there. So I think FanDuel, I'm just fine with those two guys.
Yeah.
I don't want any. Like, I literally am not playing now. I expect to be, to some degree, owned Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier again when I've just got these other plays of, Hood at 4,200 and Oubre 43, Crowder 42, TJ Augustine at 36, Archie Diacono at 30. There's just other places I would rather go at better ownership. Cody Zeller at 4K. So I don't hate them in tournaments on FanDuel. They're certainly not unplayable in tournaments on DK. It does make it more likely they randomly bust out their own unique brand of upside. You're going to want to play the game correctly because I think you're hoping for a blowout with some of those guys. I'm interested with you being under the field on Kyrie, just because this seems like a spot where he could really get his giddy up on.
Yeah, I happen to have more. Kemba's $200 more. Wall $300 more. I just happen to have more Kemba and Wall than I do Kyrie.
Sure.
I don't love it for him. I assume he sees probably a decent amount of Drew, which is not great for him. So I can see the rest of the Celtic, him being more of a facilitator here than just a straight scorer. I don't know. I wasn't mad that I didn't have more Kyrie. He's at 20. He's the second chalkiest point guard on FanDuel behind Rozier. So that's a lot of weight to the Celtics.
Chalkiest point guard on FanDuel?
He's 3,800, and you can throw the score in the garbage if it doesn't go well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I don't think that he would be otherwise, but drop your lowest score, 3,800, it makes it a lot easier. So, yeah, because of that, because he's at 25%, I just, at some point in time, I drew the line, and it was above Kyrie.
Yeah, I'm thinking around with it. I guess that's reasonable. I probably would end up under 2 just because I've so much affection for Rubio still in the spot, and he's going to be probably to me under-owned where he should be relative, and I like some of the other value a lot. So I was just curious your rationale there.
Yeah, it's just a preference thing for Wall and Kemba.
Yeah, not unreasonable in any sense that I can think of.
I do like the fact that it's a pace-up spot for Kyrie. I did have a little bit more of him earlier today, and then just once Chris Paul news dropped, it moved everybody around.
Yeah. I am with you, sir. Sounds good.
Cool. To the Jazz Pacers?
Yeah, I'm surprisingly a fan of this game, much more so than you'd think you would be I think there's a lot of opportunity in tournaments here for a number of guys who I think can randomly put out a good start. Like I would be over the field on very nearly every player from this game. I'm
over the field on one with any sort of like bulk.
Who is?
Jae Crowder, 4,900 on FanDuel. Small forward, kind of a garbage position today.
Yeah, if you may have a stud spot if you're paying up for Durant or Giannis.
Yeah.
I like Ennis again as a value play with the sort of guaranteed minutes in that spot that he's in. I do like threes against Washington with the lineup they're running out there right now. I know a couple other guys I like, but I absolutely love Jae Crowder for 900. Look, you're just taking Donovan off the court, and that's just a lot of usage to flow around 2 other guys. Most specifically, Rubio gets the biggest chunk. But again, if you look at that game yesterday, which admittedly is in a superlative spot against the Kings, and playing the Kings is a hell of a lot better than playing the Pacers, to be sure. But literally everybody was good on this team. You're not going to have everyone be good today, but you're going to have a few guys be very good. Whether it's Ingles at 6K or Crowder at 4.2 and 4.9. Favors seems a little unlikely to go back to the well. 3 steals and 3 blocks was a little fortunate how that worked out. These 2 teams played again, and I'm trying to remember. Again, my notes went down. But, Rubio had a completely unreasonable shooting game and had 50 fantasy points the last time they played with Donovan Mitchell in there. So yeah, I'm a fan of getting some Rubio and everything. The spot isn't as good. The ownership will be higher than yesterday when he was ridiculously low owned. He was like 10% owned yesterday. And I was talking about him the whole show. Like, I don't know how this doesn't work out, and shockingly, it worked out. But he was like 10% owned on FanDuel. I'm like, huh? Like, it was probable with his neck, but that was really crazy to me. So Rubio, I still like Alec Burks actually a lot as a punt. He had like 20 in the second half last night. He had like 1 in the first half. But Alec Burks is the minimum on FanDuel. So
yeah, I wouldn't touch him for 4,000 on DraftKings.
Oh, exactly. But for you specifically, I was sort of saying, if I was you, I would have some Alec Burks in my life at 3,500. He's ideal punt guy in that spot where blowout maybe gets thrown or just randomly racks 30 or and the minimum effect to your lineup there. But
I have a little bit of him, nothing crazy. I thought I would get more, but there's so much up in the air whether like Tabo gets some minutes, Grayson Allen could play that
Well,
run,
also
Royce
shooting guard
O'Neal.
has just on the Rockets
Yeah.
2 really good plays. Like
Right.
shooting guard on the Rockets is like, I really want those 2 guys, and I only get 2. So
Yeah, that's a good point too.
so like I'm having any shooting guard not named Eric Gordon and James Harden, those 2 guys should both have pretty significant ownership. I'm really curious where Harden's ownership is today. I think it's going to be 35, and that's still going to be low enough that I'm just going to want 100%. What do we have Harden at?
Let me switch back to it. I was trying to think if I could remember it off the top of my head.
I bet we have him at 25 or something.
It was 21 on my last update, but if we've put out anything else, I haven't grabbed any updates since. We just had an update 3 minutes ago, so I have it here.
I bet it still says low to mid 20s.
Eric Gordon getting some love on DK as expected.
35?
30 something.
Yeah.
Harden on FanDuel 26. It's the 4th highest on the slate.
100 for me. Just load him the hell in there. I just don't know how I've said enough. Let's move on.
Final game.
Sure.
Or actually, let's talk Pacers.
Oh yeah, we should. So Collison still does not disgust me in tournaments. Like, we have not had the Oladipo is out thing work as well as we wanted. So obviously you can still Sabonis. One of the effects of having Depot out is the offense slows down a lot. That ends to more half-court offense, and Sabonis is remarkably effective in the half-court offense. Obviously you wanted Miles Turner out again, but still $7,000 basically is the price on Sabonis, and just massive upside there potentially for him. So certainly still like him in tournaments, and the ownership will be lower than it should be. I'm sure I would have ended up with a lot less than I wanted because of how much I'm in love with Larry Nance right now. But Sabonis, certainly a guy I like. Corey Joseph makes sense in tournaments for me still. Darren Collison makes sense in tournaments for me still. Tyreke Evans makes sense in tournaments for me still. Like, all 3 of those guys, I only want one of them. I don't really want to stack the hell out of this game. But I like having some exposure to all those guys. I would have them all in a pool. You're just going to pick up, again, it's basically the Donovan Mitchell out theory, and it's not real complicated. That usage has to go somewhere. Now, it can keep being really evenly spread, and no one can be quite good. And the minutes can get even. You keep getting 26 minutes for Collison and 24 for Joseph and 22 for Tyreke. And Sabonis is good every game. And Bojan keeps giving you 25 to 30. And it can stay really, really evenly spread. And obviously the matchup isn't incredibly good. And you're doing the whole thin air in Utah. Their defense is a very good thing. But just feel like you're going to get some random 8x games out of these guys more often than we can. I think we have been shockingly muted as far as high and low producers from these guys. And
Larry Nance starting.
Hey, shocking. See, you should have bet me. Again, I want some action, man. Anyway,
I don't have any action for you.
All right, well, fine.
Time to recrunch, though.
So there you go. 647 Larry Nance starting. I wouldn't have 100%. I'd have a lot. I'd have 60.
I will definitely have less than 60.
Oh, I'm sure. But it's he's 5,000 on DK, 53 on FanDuel. I project him for. I'd have to sit down and look at the exact rotations and move it around for a minute or two. But I'll say 31 minutes and 35 fantasy points approximately in this matchup, which is only slightly more.
It's fantastic for him.
Sorry?
It's a fantastic spot for him now that he's in the starting lineup.
Yeah, and he was, he's averaging, he's got to be at 1.1 fantasy points a minute this year, and I think he'd do a little better than that. So yeah, I'll go 31 and 35 as the 2 numbers for him, and the ownership will be juicy. So, yep. Got him in there. Like a real he can do 3 steals and 3 blocks and dumb things like that as well, and you could get just 55 out of him. It's not impossible. So, for that possibility, yeah, I'd go stupid Nancy Nance.
There we go. Let's talk the final game. Golden State Warriors, Orlando Magic. This is a game that I am not giving a ton of love. I don't really have all that much Kevin Durant as of right now. I don't really have that much Klay Thompson. I don't really have any Klay Thompson at this point. Only guy that I'm really getting it. Well, I guess Aaron Gordon is only projected for 5% ownership on FanDuel. I have double that. I've got a lot of Vooch. He is the guy that I'm looking at. 9K on FanDuel. Should be a really good spot for him. I'm not super worried about Golden State's defense in this game. So while I don't love the 103 implied total from the Magic, I love me some Vooch. He's been playing out of his mind.
I'll take Gordon straight up fantasy points. What do you want to bet?
Gordon, Aaron.
I
have him. Well, I don't know where you're going with this. I have him for 33.8 on DK.
What do you have Vooch for? 40?
42.
All right. Even money. What do you want to bet? I'll have Aaron Gordon outscore him. I'll give you the 9 points. I'll spot you.
I mean, what are you thinking?
I am a little bit worried on the back-to-back, the extra usage, the time. I think there's a reasonable chance that the Magic get their shit pushed in just on the order of how they're going. I know other people. Someone told me Lofty said he thought the Magic could win. I'm pretty far the other way. I think the Magic really struggle in this matchup the more I look at it. So, especially in a world with Capella now, I'm a lot more interested in Capella than I am with Vooch. I think it has a higher floor and a higher ceiling. So I can't realistically actually project Gordon for more fantasy points, but it would be really, really close for me without Durant there. Vooch has had some trouble with just the Golden State system in the past. And so I would probably go the other way for that reason.
That's scary to me.
Sorry. Don't mean to scare you.
I mean, normally a big Aaron Gordon fan too. It's not for me today.
Yeah, that's fair. That's sort of what I would be counting on. I think you end up with some pretty nice ownership on AG. So, but I would be more excited to, again, it's a zig when they zag type thing. But I would be more inclined to play Gordon than Vooch. So, gentleman's bet. We'll reconnoiter and talk about it later tonight.
That'll work.
Okay. Sounds good.
What do you like from the Warriors side?
Like, I would not look at anyone who has Vooch and go like, oh, that's absolutely terrible. It's just the ownership is a little higher than I'm excited with. The price is nice. He's again, I really want to play Capella instead, who is 100 more on DK and similar on FanDuel. So for that reason, I'm pretty confident not going there. But I have a lot of concern of his ability to produce in this spot. And again, my notes are all gone, but pretty sure he's had some reasonable trouble with Golden State in the past. And Golden State's ability to limit opposing players, especially centers, is less based on their personnel than their system. Going back a few years, looking at the same thing over and over again. So that's why I have what I think is reasonable concern.
Oh. Durant, Klay, they're not guys for me, and I might regret that in the morning. What do you think?
Yeah, certainly. Just there's a whole Durant without Steph, full stop type thing. Very similar to Paul George in that he came out and was very bad the first few games, and I went, yeah, I think those are just low games, and it's started to become a little better. But I again do have some reasonably significant concern for a blowout. The Magic are on the back-to-back on the road, so I'm a little worried there. I don't think either Klay or Durant or must. I'm a little more excited about Durant than Klay relative to their prices. I would be more upset if I had no Durant than if I had no Klay. But yeah, I think that's about right. Quinn Cook is coming off a shit game. You can still roll him back out there. The matchup looks pretty good. DJ Augustine is 36, 37, just another guy who has been getting more time, who certainly makes a very interesting punt on DK. Evan Fournier still just way too cheap on DK. Like, you'd project him for 30-ish, and he's 53 or 5,400 or whatever the number ended up being on him. I mentioned I like Gordon because I think the ownership is exceptional, and I do think it ends up being a good spot for him. So I like Aaron Gordon either side in tournaments quite a bit. Vooch obviously has a big ceiling. Just at this point, I would play Capella. Just seems like a strictly better play for me, and run the fade on that. That's about it from this game for me. Trying to pick between the 5 Warriors guys. I'm a big fan of saying I don't know and I don't know, and I just don't know what the hell they're going to do on a given basis as far as Bell, Looney, Jones, etc. Jerebko,
Yeah, it's
McKinney, Lee, Cook, Livingston, Iguodala. Like just like you can certainly do it. I'd have to check their prices again specifically. I probably like Bell the most of them just because he can do the whole steal block thing a little better than the others. Don't hate Looney. Probably Jones is next for me, and then Jerebko, but they're all just glomped in there. Literally, their rankings in my rankings, they are almost all a D in cash and a C in tournaments. They're just all like, yes, you can't play this guy in cash. He's meh in tournaments. Feel free to have one.
Home stretch. You ready for questions?
Do it.
Eric Gordon or Justin Holiday, straight up on FanDuel?
I'd probably play Gordon in cash and Holiday in tournaments, but raw points I have to take Eric Gordon.
Yeah, there's too much opportunity there.
Yep. That's
worth playing Darius Miller as a min price forward on a DK GPP? I would say no.
I mean, Celtics, man, it's not. They haven't been as good defensively as expected, and have been just a train wreck offensively, honestly, relative to what I expected. But
there's too much value out there.
I would like. I'm not excited about that play. He would be my 49th most popular, favorite value play, but it's not strictly wrong. Like he has enough upside and can do the thing, but with Anthony Davis back, and I'm just gonna say no. So I'll just say no. But it's really weird because he's not good, but he is a guy who can randomly get 33. Like he could very possibly be the top scoring 3K on the slate, and the ideal other 7 guys in the best possible lineup might cost 47,000. So it's just one of those where it's like I certainly wouldn't, but I can certainly envision scenarios in which it works out. So should you do it? I would certainly say no. Is it completely insane? No, really, it isn't. Unfortunately.
That is more time than anyone in this entire industry spent on Darius Miller today.
Well, combined. I'm thorough. I'm a good man and thorough.
Horford and Gay or Capella and Marvin Williams and DK Cash?
Oh, God. Capella and Marvin.
Ooh, okay.
Really close.
Yeah, that's a 1 and 4 versus 2 and 3.
Yeah. Oh, by far. I mean, Marvin by far the worst, and Capella by far the best of those 4 guys.
Yep. What else do we got? Let's see. How many Rockets is too many in DK Cash?
What's the stacking limit?
I have no idea. I don't play on DK. I mean, 3, I think I wouldn't go further than that.
Well, here's the thing. The 3 are Harden, Gordon, and Capella, and I'm fine with having them all in your cash lineup at those prices. Yeah. So then are you wrong for playing PJ Tucker at 39 or Ennis at 37 or 38 or Clark at 34? So probably I have almost no limit because the 3 guys you want to play, I don't mind playing. And then at that point, they don't really have any relevant correlation with guys who cost 3x to get to their number. So I don't think I have a problem with any number of Rockets in your cash lineup. Feels odd.
It does feel really odd.
Like my issue would be going to the third. I have more of an issue with the third one than I do with the fourth, which is really weird. But when I
agree.
When you go from Harden and Capella to adding Gordon, or Gordon and Capella to adding Harden, that move to me is a little more squirrely than when after that you throw PJ Tucker in behind it. So it's a little weird.
I agree.
Feels weird.
Righty. What else we got? FanDuel GPP, Horford or Tristan?
Tristan.
Ooh, that came up again. Justin Holiday, Batum, Favors, or Collison, DK Cash? I assume all
Holiday.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, boy. Ennis or John Simmons, FanDuel GPP?
Ennis.
Yeah, absolutely.
The third.
That one's not close.
Yeah, that one isn't close.
What else we got? Oh my God, Andre Iguodala or Archie? I was about to say Ryan Anderson. Iguodala or Archie, more raw fantasy points?
Archie. I like Archie. I mean, I would project Archie for 22 and a half fantasy points tonight, somewhere in that range. Iguodala I'd project for 15 or 16. So I mean, Archie by like 6 for me, like a pretty big number.
I have Iguodala by 1/10 of a point on FanDuel right now.
Interesting. What do you have them both at 18 and change?
It's like 19 and change, I think.
19 and
Iguodala's been
change?
playing a lot of minutes lately. Went for 32 in their last game.
Yeah.
And
No,
when that starts creeping up, it piques my interest. 32,
Yeah,
25, 26, 26, 28 in his last 5, all with Draymond out. So, like,
Yeah.
those minutes are there if that game stays close.
Okay, I accept that. Again, I don't think that minutes stay close, and I still think I have Archie for a few more. Regardless, I would probably have Iggy 26 and Archie 30, and I like Archie's spot a little bit more. But fair enough.
Right. What else we have? Smart and Hood or Gordon and Jeff Green, FanDuel Cash. Oh God.
Yeah, Gordon and Green.
Yeah. Oh man.
I just can't. Smart and Hood in Cash. Just stop. Just, no. Those are not men you can play in Cash.
Well,
Hood is if
Smart. I think is in this particular instance, and I only say that because it's FanDuel Cash, and it's still you can drop him.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Oh my God! All right, so we are at lock. It's time for a really exciting game of Daddy Like, because I get to look up Harden and Nance and other numbers I'm really interested in.
Let's do it.
I'm super excited.
I'll pull mine up as well. Good show, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Cyber Month or Cyber Year, if you want to try and get a discount on your first month, or 12 months for the price of 10. Use Cyber Month or Cyber Year, depending on how long you want to sign up with us. You cannot select packages that include Fantasy Cruncher. It's only Premium All Access Monthly or Premium All Access Annual. Those are your only options, but I promise you, those codes work.
Harden, 30%.
36% Harden in the tournament that I'm in on here. I played 54, so I am very, very happy with that. Wouldn't even have been upset with more.
I'd be absolutely fine with that. I mean, it's really not a question of. I mean, obviously Harden's production matters, but it's almost more of a question of Durant's and Giannis's and something like.
Yeah.
If one of them puts up 80, it's going to completely change how good I feel about having this hypothetical 100% James Harden in my head. So here we go. DraftKings, the top 3 guys play for the Rockets. 45.5% Eric Gordon, 31% James Harden, 30% Clint Capella, 25% Tristan, 23% Rodney, 16% Porter, 15% Nance. Okay, you tried to get there. Still feeling good about it, but 15% Nance, 13.5% Keefe, 13.5% Lamb. Okay, I can take that. 13% Chetty, sure. 12% Zeller, 11% Giannis, 10.5% Bradley, 9% PJ Tucker, a little more than you might have thought. 9% Marvin Williams. I don't need to tell you which one of those I like more. I would put a pretty healthy side bet on Tucker over Williams in this spot. 8% Wiggins. I like that. People are not daunted by his last game. Very smart. Kemba only 7%. That feels good. Sexton 6%. Daddy doesn't like that. Towns 5%. Daddy like. Jordan Clarkson 4.5%. Malcolm Brogdon 4.4%. I actually really like Brogdon at 4.4%. Really safe floor, if nothing else, and a spot where I think he could certainly get there. Batum 4.2%, Rose 4 flat, Bledsoe 3.7%, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist 3.5%. That's cute, everybody. I like that. That's a good job. Oubre 3.3%, Daddy like. Jeff Teague 3.1%, Daddy like. Brooke Lopez 3%, Daddy and Uncle Josh like.
Yeah, I do.
Chris Middleton 3%, Robert Covington 3%, John Wall 2.6%. Daddy, I mean, just saying, Daddy likes 2.6%. John Wall. Okay, he has not been a good year. I still think the possibility is very much there. Darius Saric 2.5%, Malik Monk 2.23%, Jeff Green 1.8%, 1.6% James Ennis. You do it. Taj Gibson 1.5%, Kyle Korver 1.4%, Thomas Bryant 1.3%, Pat Connaughton 0.8%, Gary Clark 0.7%. I actually like quite a bit. Tomas Satoransky 0.65%, Michael Carter Williams 0.65%, Tony Parker 0.6%, Uncle Frank 0.54%, Austin Rivers 0.39%, Thon McCurr 0.26%, Guillermo Hernan Gomez, quite possibly out of the rotation, 0.25%. Dwayne Bacon 0.14, Ursan Ilyasova 0.14, Gorgie Jeng 0.14, Miles Bridges 0.12, and congratulations, you played yourself, Carmelo Anthony 0.11.
Somebody asked today in the show with Adam and I, why is Carmelo Anthony priced at $3,500? We were like, I don't know, because he's fucking not in the league.
Wow, I mean, that's...
How can you be playing NBA? How do you watch our show in the morning and wonder why?
You know what the NBA is and not have picked up that news. Like, I get it if you didn't get David Nwaba. I didn't shout out David Nwaba, 0.1%. You also played yourself. But how did that news pass you by? Like, I even sort of get missing the Dwight Howard news, but it was kind of hard to watch anything to do with sports for a while and not see Melo not fitting in. Melo pretending to be sick. Melo, like, I don't know quite how you missed that.
I'm over the field on like everything in this Houston-Washington game, so I hope that bad boy stays close. And is,
as you should be. Everyone is priced extremely well, and there's
John Wall 8% in my tournament on FanDuel.
Yeah, this is just glorious.
I have 20.
Yeah, and I would feel great about that. 2.5 times the field, but still not crushing it. Yeah, I would be infinitely thrilled with that. Let me find. Yes, there is something. What the hell is the biggest DK? Played a lot on DK. I'm looking through a lot of tournaments. 300K.
Wow.
That seems like it.
Markieff Morris is 28% on FanDuel. That's if I would have known that, I would have played less.
Yeah, that's quite a number. Larry Nance is also 28% on FanDuel.
Not in my lineups.
Oh, interesting.
He's sick. I meant my personal lineups, not in this tournament.
Oh.
Yeah, Nance is at 30 in this tournament. I played 60.
Yeah, good man and thorough. Ennis 13, James Harden 33 again. Yeah, I'm just super excited about getting to pass 70% of the field on Harden every time he makes a whatever. Like, that can just go stupid in a hurry. Wow. Maybe it won't happen, but I'm feeling very good about Harden.
3.5% on Karl Towns against Cleveland.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, objectively, I don't look at Karl Anthony Towns next to Harden or Durant or any of these guys as just necessarily worth the money, but it's still Karl Anthony Towns against Cleveland. And you were going to get him at, I think I said 4 or 5% on the show. So yeah, 3.5 sounds about it. So
3.5 for Towns on FanDuel, 17.9 for Tristan Thompson.
Right.
I have the opposite sort of, like I'm triple the field on Towns and half the field on Thompson. So I hope that breaks the way talent breaks.
Yeah. No, good luck to you. Again, let's keep it. It was a really nice weekend. Just a lot of doing ownership plays. Someone pointed out to me last night on Twitter that I've been incredibly good at picking the correct Knicks. And I want to state for the record, I've been incredibly lucky on picking the correct Knicks. There's just no rhyme or reason there. I'm just always like, the ownership is going to go this way, and it's all a clusterfuck. So let's go the other way. It's really been basically, like, it's not a complicated strategy. If you can correctly prognosticate the ownership, do the opposite, because they all have a one and infinitely random, who knows what the fuck is going to happen, chance of getting minutes in production. So take the one who's less owned. Hashtag analysis.
Yep.
About how that has come down.
Anything else?
16% Giannis. It's interesting that the number you had to pay for him. So that's healthy.
Yeah, I don't even want to find. I need to really pray for nothing crazy out of Giannis or Durant, and I should be in okay shape.
Yeah, no, definitely. I liked a lot of the spend down options at small forward. There are a lot of guys around 3-4K who, I liked. And again, if you're windmilling Harden, you're not going to be able to afford too much of those other guys.
There's just so many minutes to be had in like the 5K range on FanDuel, whether that's Chetty or Bojan or Batum, Rodney Hood, Jae Crowder, like this whole area of like
Ennis, Clark.
Oh yeah, I'm not even like I've got a ton of both of those guys, and they're not all that owned. Like Clark is 2% in this FanDuel GPP. I played 15.
Yeah, and I like him more on FanDuel. He's a defensive guy. He's in that Tucker Ennis. I can get you 4 steals, and my minutes are going to be significant now. You're going to get 33 minutes out of Gary Clark there.
Yeah, and worst case scenario is I drop a $3,600 guy. Who cares?
Yeah, it was. There are a lot of guys who are just great on FanDuel tonight. I really like playing him in tournaments as droppable. I like playing Archie in tournaments as droppable. I like playing Alec Burks at the actual stone minimum as droppable. I like playing James Ennis at 3,700 at droppable. So there was a lot of lovely punts there. So I think that would have. It's really interesting how the conversation goes from there. I don't know if everyone feels the same way I do. So I would have had a lot of stars and scrubs for that reason, because there's a lot of 4K plays I was a big fan of. So that leads me to having more Yeah, I'd have Harden, and I would literally have played 100% Harden. I would have rode or die with it. So, I'd have had some Harden Giannis, some Harden Durant, a lot of Harden Capella, obviously, some Harden Kemba. Like, it just would have been, Harden and a stud, probably roughly even on the other guys. But it makes it really interesting in that a balanced lineup would have been very unique to me. Having like only one punt would have been a weird construction for me tonight.
Yeah, it would have been different probably.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is you would have had a very weird lineup if you had, like, how many lineups would have had, just off the top of my head, Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine and Chris Middleton? No one was building that fucking lineup where you had just 3 guys at 7, and if they all got there, it would have been incredibly unique relative to the field. So it's always the sort of game theory there is always interesting for me.
Devin Slater, I am wearing a Tim Hardaway Senior Warriors shirt, just in case you really wanted to know that. Cyber Monday special, guys, ends today. Cyber Month gets you a month. Cyber Year, 12 months for the price of 10. I highly recommend Cyber Year, obviously.
It's delicious.
Yeah. Anything else, Eddie?
No, I'm good, sir. I enjoyed it. I am off tomorrow. We should tell the people.
Yeah. No Eddie tomorrow. The return of Josh and Chris live before lock, breaking down just a lovely 2-game slate.
Awesome. And then I am on, I believe, for the next 6 or 7 days consecutively. So don't worry. I'll be back.
There you go, everybody. Best of luck tonight. I'll see you guys at the top of the leaderboard. Adios.